Kicking off 2025 in the way that we mean to go on, I'm highlighting a hidden gem that I found this time in the Steam Winter Sale, and it's Mini Micro Racing, and it's only got 2 user reviews, which shocked me. This is a 1-to-4 local multiplayer top-down racer that is a clone of the Micro Machine genre. So if you've not played those games before, you are really tiny in a little tiny vehicle going around massive environments that you would ordinarily just think were everyday objects. So it's going around like a classroom table or a garden pond or around flip-flops and sandcastles and crabs on the beach, for example. And this game plays into that aesthetic exceptionally well, with nice clean-cut graphics and well-defined tracks for you to go racing in a very arcade style. The handling in this game feels like it's coming from the centre point of the car, so it doesn't particularly oversteer or understeer. Instead, everything is pointy and grippy, and so it's quite approachable for new racers to pick up and play, but you still need to be good with staying on a racing line because these tracks do bend around, they fork out into multiple paths, and so on and so forth as you go around racing. However, this isn't a traditional racer of first to complete 3 laps wins. If you've played the Micro Machines games before, when it goes into local multiplayer, instead it's a points-based system on who gets eliminated by falling off the edge of the screen or getting killed by the various different weapons that you can pick up during play. And Mini Micro Racing does the exact same thing. So each player, and it can be for up to 4 players locally, or AI bots will fill in whatever gaps you've got. You will go racing for first to 10 points or beyond 10 points wins. And so you'll be racing around, trying to go faster and more efficiently to try and drop racers off the edge of the screen. There'll be loads of bridges and things that will get in the way that can try and catch out racers, and then they get stuck behind things or just fall off, like the kitchen table, for example, and that's the end of it for their round. And the last player standing gets 3 points. The first eliminated gets 2, the next one gets 1, and the one that was eliminated first gets 0. And that just keeps going until you fill your points quota. Aside from racing competitively with each other, you can also pick up lots of different weapons. There's 7 in total. Some of them are like launchable missiles, some of them are area of effect things. They all have their uses depending on where you are in the pack, and they can all be very helpful for you to try and eliminate players by just grinding down their health. There are 2 other modes of racing as well. The first is I'm going to call it like a bomb detonation mode, because everyone starts with a 5-second timer that constantly counts down, and dotted around the track are various different bomb timer resets. And every time the clock hits 0, you lose a piece of health. And so you're actively racing to try and stay ahead of the pack, but also then, a bit like in Formula E, where you've got your like recharge mode, you have to kind of go wide on certain corners to go and collect your bomb clock reset so that it goes back to 5 seconds whilst everyone else's keeps counting down. And so you're trying to tactically drive like that so that you keep yourself replenished with health for the longest period of time, therefore gaining the points. The flip side of that is the mine mode, where there's loads of mines dotted around everywhere, and it doesn't really pay to be at the head of the pack with this, because sometimes you really can't see where you're going, but you also can't go too slowly because you'll still fall off the edge of the screen if you don't keep up with everyone else. But here it's much more around being very precise with your driving and then being cheeky and trying to nudge someone else into mines as they're going past. Mine mode does come with first aid kits though, so you can tactically take a mine knowing that there's a kit round the corner, because the mines replace themselves in the same places each lap, and so things get into a predictable pattern as you play. All of this is a riot in local multiplayer and brings hours of fun, and you can unlock one of 27 different vehicle bodies going through career mode, 20 different character icons, and I think there is 13 tracks in the game, but they're not all unlocked at the beginning. So playing through career mode, and you can do that with 1 to 4 players, means that you slowly unlock all of this stuff as you go, and then you can take it into free play mode, making your own stuff up afterwards. All of that is aesthetic rather than actual gameplay like differences or functions or uniqueness, because one of the downsides of Mini Micro Racing, probably because it's on such a shoestring budget and it's a cheap game, is that each vehicle handles the same. each terrain handles the same, and so it means that it's easy to pick up and play, but it does lack that variety of why does my car handle the same as the boat in the pond, as the car dune buggy on the beach, as it does me going around the kitchen table, for example. And so if there was to ever be a sequel in this, that's where I'd like to see the improvements, alongside a more generous variety of tracks, I guess, because this game is saying 13 tracks with 3 different modes to race in. Therefore, you've got 39 events to muck about with. But actually, because the tracks are quite short and sweet, you do get to grips with them very quickly, and they're quite simple. So just bear that in mind, that if you're picking this up, this will be a great game for several hours and short bursts of multiplayer fun, but they'll come to be a point where you're quite familiar with all of the tracks and the layouts of stuff. And I'd recommend you park it so that it then becomes fresh again if you then pull it out for your local multiplayer carnage at a later date. But yeah, for a couple of quid, I had good fun with this and would recommend it. It does make me long for a real juicy Micro Machines fully fledged game to return. And there's a couple. One's called Tiny Tires that I've got my eye on, that I think is coming out this year, that I'm very excited for. But this will more than tide you over in the meantime until we get the next one in this style of gaming. So yeah, Mini Micro Racing, check it out. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/Higher Plane Network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.